Good evening, welcome to Central News for Monday the 28th of October. I'm Hilary Entwistle. The man behind the voice that has been described as having a natural quality that is quite rare by one of the best in the opera industry is coming to Tauranga next month. World-renowned tenor Dennis O'Neill is training Peni Amatea, who is one of the 3 young Samoan men that make up the opera trio Sole Mio. The Samoan opera trio Sole Mio is performing at the Holy Trinity in Tauranga for a Waipuna Hospice fundraising gig before they officially sign with Universal Studios. Fundraising manager for the Waipuna Hospice, Trish Ray, says these 3 young men are a must-see.
Because these guys are fantastic and you will have an awesome night that will be very, very memorable. And in addition to that, it raises really good money for the hospice, so definitely a must-see.
A telehealth project is being trialled in the Bay of Plenty, with hopes it could go nationwide to help with the rising costs of the health system. Telehealth is where a patient's consultation with a doctor is via video on the net and is being used successfully worldwide. Ernie Newman, the project's facilitator, says with an ageing population, we have no choice but to re-evaluate our health system and how we use it.
It can do 2 things. It can get better health outcomes for patients and it can deal with health budgets as well. The whole issue of health budgets is a massive problem worldwide. We've got the ageing population, the number of people over the age of 80 in New Zealand over the next couple of decades is going to increase exponentially. And it's in the late stages of life that people's demands on the health budget are greatest. All countries have to find new and more efficient ways for individuals to engage with the health system. And there's been a sort of an age-old presumption that the only way that you can engage with a doctor is one-on-one, face-to-face. That's going to have to go. And telehealth is one of the ways that that can be delivered, that we can find more efficient ways of actually using scarce medical resources.
Just ahead, how the youth came together to volunteer. Welcome to Central News on TV Central. The RINA crisis is the focal point of Tauranga's University of Waikato doctoral student Sarah Lockwood's research. But it's not about the oil or the effect on the environment. Her research is about how Gen Y volunteers communicate in crisis, and it could be the first of its kind.
So I'm looking at how young people organise and communicate when a crisis strikes, so how they uniquely respond to crises. So when I say crises, I mean things like more environmental crises, tsunami, what we saw with the RINA, which is what I'm specifically researching, hurricanes, things like that. So huge crises.
What is the conference that you're going to be speaking at?
It's called the National Communication Association Conference. It's in Chicago, and it's a huge event. There's normally in excess of 8,000 attendees, and there's a number of streams that fit under the communication scope. So that's what I'll be attending.
And what will you be speaking about?
Well, the field of research that I'm looking at is fairly limited in terms of the amount of research that's been done, because this unique response that young people have is kind of a new dynamic that we're starting to see a lot of, and obviously saw it with the RINA, and particularly we know about it with Christchurch and in particular Student Volunteer Army. But there's not so much research that exists in literature and that kind of stuff. So what does exist has been mainly done over in the US. So I'll be trying to target my speech to those people that are in that area, and so hopefully that will encourage a bit of collaboration between myself and those researchers to use our research and studies and findings and try and come up with some really useful, practical recommendations.
Why do you think there has been so little research into it?
Well, a couple of reasons. Young people often work outside of the official volunteer response. For example, with the RINA, we had a volunteer program set up through Maritime, and by all accounts, it actually looked like youth volunteers were a very small minority of participants in that. But my research looked at young people that didn't necessarily participate in the volunteer program. So they did their own things. So this is what I'm calling the self-organised response. So it often actually goes quite under the radar, even though the outcomes of their initiatives and what they do is actually highly successful. But yeah, it's often under the radar kind of stuff, so it's not officially recognised.
How does Gen Y communicate in a crisis, and is it different to any other generation?
Yeah, I'm looking uniquely as well as part of the research at their characteristics and how they're actually quite interestingly positioned in terms of crises. So they've got generational characteristics of that age group, such as the need for speed, the need to get things done quickly. They've got a high capability with technology and use of technology, and they're also really socially connected, both online and offline. And they've got big groups, social networking groups as well, on and offline. And those three key things my research found made them really uniquely positioned to effective crisis response. And so in terms of how they're communicating, using their generational characteristics, they're using all that to have really positive organising methods and communication methods to really hustle and get a lot of people together in a certain area at a certain time and get a lot of stuff done.
You volunteered yourself in the Rena disaster. Do you think that helped you with your study?
Yes, so I was actually working full-time in a volunteer organisation, actually, Volunteer Sports Trust, and we were involved as an organisational response partner, and in the weekends I was doing my own volunteer work with the Rena, and I just witnessed through that this disconnect between a lot of young people that were volunteering and the official volunteer response. There was a lot of things that didn't quite match up. Young people felt a little bit frustrated that their physical ability and their skill wasn't utilised to its full capacity. And their volunteer programs was quite structured in 4-hour stints for every single person. So it wasn't targeted to a specific generation at all, which is understandable. It was just targeted to general population. So young people got really frustrated, and a lot of them moved away from the volunteer program and onto these own self-organised initiatives. And I also noticed a lot of maybe trust issues, and yeah, just disconnect really. So that really actually inspired me to dig a bit deeper. My master's had been on volunteer research anyway, and it was kind of a natural progression, and so I thought this is my PhD program. I'm going to do this. So I quit my job, and here we are.
Is there a perception that the younger generation don't volunteer and aren't that connected to their community?
Yeah, potentially there are those perceptions that exist. So in my research I interviewed a lot of young people and a lot of older people that worked alongside them in different areas, and a lot of the official personnel that were involved both in the volunteer program and in the Rena response. And I did see a lot of perceptions that didn't meet between the younger people and the older people, so that's also an interesting finding.
What were your findings about health and safety regulations and other entities' regulations in crisis?
Yeah, I don't so much focus on health and safety, apart from the fact that when a crisis occurs, there's obviously a lot of policy that needs to be followed. For example, civil defence policy becomes activated, etc., etc. And because young people have shown that their spontaneity and their flexibility and their creativity they just don't always fit within that structured policy response. So because of that, young volunteers and all of the policy I've looked at worldwide, they're not mentioned in any of those policy documents, which is interesting given the practical evidence we have worldwide showing that their initiatives are really effective in times of crises.
How do you hope the government will use your research?
One of the main aims of going to America is that rich collaboration of research internationally will help inform local governments how to better utilise these Gen Y volunteers, so that the community as a whole, whether that's civil defence, whether that's local government, whether that's entities like Maritime New Zealand, depending on which kind of crisis it is, just educate them and so they're better informed at how best to utilise this really useful resource to effective crisis response.
Coming up next, it's National Blind Week. Welcome back. This year's National Blind Week is coming up and is a key time for the Royal New Zealand Blind Foundation to raise awareness and funds for the work that they do. Every day, an average of 3 people register with the Foundation of the Blind for support with sight loss. John Blakeman is one of these New Zealanders and he joins me in the studio tonight to share more. Welcome to the program, John. What will happen during Blind Week?
What will happen during Blind Week is that people will be on their streets in high-vis vests for you to see and give your donations to, or you can donate to 0800 Donate.
And what will the money raised actually go to?
It'll go to make people like myself independent. Things like, I'll use some phrases here, Technics Daily Living, that's to help you learn and become a person to live in your house by yourself, and a mobility instruction which allows you to move around the community either with a dog or with a cane. And there's also library services, which is a huge thing for us because it keeps us in touch with magazines, current books to read as well. And then you of course have our guide dogs, which I have one called Brady. You've got them and the work that goes in with the dogs, and there's about 11,500 people already registered with the foundation, and about 1,200 a year that are joining the organisation. And it just basically there is also technical skills taught to us for computers because I'm working now working in the community, the DHB at Tauranga, and I had to go through a program of learning about JAWS through our IT department, which taught me to use JAWS, taught me how to use spreadsheets, and then there's other people that have got a little bit of sight that they teach them to use Zoom text. There's a variety of things that the foundation does that is unseen other than the dogs.
And I mean, there are so many charities out there, and it sounds like New Zealand Blind Foundation does a lot. So why do you think that, New Zealand Blind Foundation needs money more?
It needs money more because, for one part of our communities is ageing. People are ageing. Okay, so your sight is diminishing, and you're getting various other sight things. Also, a lot of young people are coming on board with sugar diabetes. People get overweight also, which causes stress on your thing, having earlier strokes, which causes disability. So the foundation needs those funds to keep those people mobile in their community, keep them safe, keep with their Technics Daily Living, allowing them to have a life in their own home, because I live on my own, so I know how to use microwaves, washing machines, assorted things like that. So if you want to give to something, give to the Blind Week, because the support that the foundation does for people like myself.
Now, we have met your guide dog earlier, Brady, so how much does he help you in your everyday life? Well,
he's a friend. He is a big part of my life. But in my job and getting to my job, he is the person that I trust the most. He gets me in and out of the hospital. He gets me around the hospital to do my jobs. I work in various departments. I work with the patients in the departments. So he gets me through and around through electronic doors. He is one huge, reasonably expensive friend.
I mean, the hospital was like a rabbit warren at the best of times. Mm-hmm. So he knows his way around. Yeah,
I have to guide him on the odd occasions, so I've got to remember the routes we go on, because we deliver a lot of the referrals from the doctors, so you're doing 3 levels every day. So you've got to remember there's a certain route we go on. So he remembers, and you just got to give him little pointers and he'll go there. And then when we do the paper round as well, so that's another rabbit warren to walk through all the wards.
He's just making a bit of noise. He must know that we're talking about him.
He does. He says, "You're talking about work, Dad."
Now, what other campaigns does the New Zealand Blind Foundation run?
They do have an appeal through in the middle of the year for guide dogs to raise fund for guide dogs. You can also pick a package up from them and donate to guide dog services. But the best thing to do is they also have a website that you can go on and you can read up about Blind Week, coming up Blind Week. In the DHB in Tauranga next Thursday, we're having a fundraising with Brady on the Thursday, right through the day and through the hospital for people to give to Blind Week.
And how can volunteers get involved with the guide dogs?
How can they get involved with guide dogs is call Auckland and talk to on either the 0800 number, which is 0800 24 33 33, and push 4 for guide dogs, and talk to any of the receptionists or the manager, and you can go from there, because there's puppy walkers, there's all sorts of people that are in the community, and without those people, see, that's another lot of people that are funded by the foundation to bring a dog, prepare a dog for a man like me to use. If you get a really, really good puppy walker, because the dog's with them from 6 weeks old through to a year, and you get a really good puppy walker, you got a really, really good dog that has a good trainer, and you get them at 2 and you've got a dog up and going then.
Well, thank you very much for coming in tonight, John, and thank you, Brady, down there. Blind Week will run from the 29th of October to the 4th of November. For more information, visit rnzfb.org.nz. Just ahead, all things art. If you have just joined us, welcome to Central News. The Tauranga Arts Festival started this weekend and was a great success, but there is still plenty more to come as the festival doesn't finish till November the 3rd. I caught up with the ladies of Creative Tauranga to see what is coming up in November and if they are enjoying the festival thus far.
There's so much left to happen. I'm off to a show this evening. I'm off to see Sal Valentine and the Baby Shakes, so can't wait. Wow. That's going to be a big swing band, I think, you know, take me back to the Gatsby era. And there's just shows all week. I think we're out a couple times a night sometimes, just, you know, seeing some of the shows during the day. The Crystal Palace is fantastic to visit. There's a lot of free stuff goes on there, and you can go and enjoy a drink and something to eat, and just a lot happening generally. So pick up a program or check out their website, and I'm sure there's something for everyone during the rest of the 10-day Arts Festival splurge on our city.
And the Kapahaka Festival is coming up soon, Tinu.
Yes, the Rawhakanaho, it's in 14th and 15th of November. Brilliant. It's where all the junior schools up to intermediate come together and they perform their kapahaka, and honestly it's just, I love it. I've had grandkids performing in it for the last several years, so I'm always really excited to see them, but it's an opportunity for everyone to partake in it, and this year it'll be out at Te Puna School.
Now, a must-see is the Italian Film Festival. So what's going to happen there?
Oh yes, it is. Denny and I always get a little bit excited about this one. From the 6th to the 20th of November, screening at Rialto. It's the 18th Italian Film Festival this year, and it is, you know, the Italian film industry's winners. So they've top-notch movies, they're fantastic. It's just a feast, so you just want to get along. We've got some programs available at Creative Tauranga, or you can pop on their website, just Google Italian Film Festival New Zealand, or Rialto, check out Rialto. But yeah, we're certainly off to see a few. It'll be, you do have to get in quick, they sell out fast and you'll need a good seat.
Yep.
What's happening in the gallery for the month of November?
Well, as you'll see behind me, we've got the Toi Wairiki in today. They are in here, and then following them, they're until the 5th of November, and then the Bay of Plenty Poly students come in, and that will be a very interesting exhibition, art students. And then we have the Square Foot, our own, very own, and celebration exhibition, and that's a very successful exhibition. People come in and it's sort of like you can buy them and take them away for Christmas presents, so that's all our Creative Tauranga members come in and partake in that exhibition. So we've got, for the next month before Christmas, we've got a wonderful selection of different styles of art for people to come in and have a look at.
And kicking off at Gallery 59 up on 5th Avenue, they've got a mini exhibition happening as well, and that's of Whereas We're pushing more the emerging artists. They've got some established artists featuring there from the 8th of November, and that'll be a fantastic exhibition as well. I think there's something like 12 by 12s and affordable, so again, great ideas for Christmas presents or treat yourself for a very, you know, hard-earned year.
I always end up by buying a couple.
Yeah, there's always something there to
they're-
treat yourself.
they're
So
great.
that will be between the a square foot and the Gallery 59 mini exhibition. There's some really good artwork for the taking at
Yeah.
a really good price.
And what about Night Owl Cinema? That sounds like quite a cool concept.
Yes, isn't that a fantastic name? It's an initiative of Kimberly Cleland, and they'll be having monthly films down there starting on the 15th of November. The first one is Boy, and they'll also be joining them will be the Little Big Markets. Yeah, so you'll be able to go down, have a browse through all the wonderful goods that the Little Big Market has, and then the movie starts at 9. And I think it's fantastic for the waterfront. Kids will be, be able to take your kids down, relax, and they've also got, popcorn will be for sale. They'll have some entertainment by Urban Dance Trust, Youth Trust. Kids will be dancing down there for that night. So, and then they'll follow on every month after that, right through until 2014, March 2014, every month. So, yeah, I think it's a great initiative, and I'm really looking forward to the opening night.
So what else is coming up in the month of November, Tracy?
Oh, there's a lot happening. We're sort of getting to that rush before the end of the year, really. So the Cargo Shed's got some new exhibitions happening there, always worth checking out. They're changing things constantly. We've got
the Inner Chord chorus, which I'm attending.
Yes. There's the Tauranga Society of Artists end of year exhibition. There is Lightwave Gallery on Tocha Street, new gallery,
that's fantastic.
and they have really interesting exhibitions over there. So their latest one just opened now is Day of the Dead. It's worth calling in there. They're open from Tuesday to Sunday. And it's a really interesting gallery with a lot of interesting work in it.
Fabulous things in there.
Yeah, I think it's well worth having a look at popping along Tocha Street and getting into Lightwave and having a look. So it's there's a lot going on. It really just pays to check it out. A lot of the local galleries in town have got a lot happening up on 11th Ave at Zeus Gallery, over at Zohar at the Mount. There's so much happening, and of course lots of the musical theatres have their end of year shows, so tickets will start selling to those. But check out our website, pick up our magazine, check us out on Facebook, and we'll keep you as up to date as we can with all the activity.
Yeah.
You can view an online copy of Creative Beat at creativetauranga.org.nz, and more information on all those events discussed will be on the website too. But if you want to find out more about the festival, visit taurangafestival.co.nz. That is the news for today. We really want you to be involved, so like us on Facebook, let us know your views. If you have news including your own video and photos, go to our website and hit upload. Thanks for joining us. I will be back tomorrow night with more guests from in and around our regions. I'm Hilary Entwistle. Have a lovely evening.
This has been an Alpha Media production, a division of Television Media Group.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.